In this video, I wanted to see how long it would take me to get every single room in the house clean at the same time. And you're probably thinking, surely that wouldn't take long at all. Maybe a few hours if the house is really messy. But anyone with kids or pets or issues with executive dysfunction will know that what usually happens is while you're trying to clean one room, another room's getting trashed. And it can feel like an absolutely impossible task to have every room in the house tidy at the same time. Some rooms always suffer. For me, it's upstairs. I usually prioritise keeping downstairs as tidy as possible, and upstairs always suffers for it. So the entire house is an absolute state, and I knew it was going to take me more than a day to get everything sorted. So I decided on day one I was just going to focus on the kitchen and the living room. There were certain things that needed extra attention, like cleaning Mushroom's bed. I clean Mushroom's bed once a week, but by the second day it looks like I've done nothing to it. She's got really dark black fur and she sheds like crazy. And this is what this video is about, really. You can absolutely work your bum off tidying something, and then the next day it looks like you've done nothing. It's really monotonous and it can become so overwhelming. Because when I usually film these videos, Charlie's taking the boys out, I can get everything done in a really short space of time. Because there are minimal distractions and there's no one making mess as you're trying to clean. And I had someone comment a month or so ago now, and it really stuck with me. It was on my How to Tidy When You're Overwhelmed video. And she said something like, I was really hoping this video was going to help me, but it can't because I'm a stay-at-home mum and I homeschool my kids and I have nobody to take them out while I tidy. And I knew I needed to make a video addressing that because it's so important and it's something so many people live through, myself included. It's all well and good me filming myself on my own tidying, but it doesn't factor in things like small children making messes, animals making messes, work schedules, the monotony of doing dishes over and over again in the same day, and just how a lot of the time keeping a house tidy can feel like trying to pick up water with a sieve. And so I wanted to show that today. It might not be the most motivating video I've ever filmed, but I hope it makes people feel less alone. Throughout the video, you'll see me do my absolute best to keep the rooms I've already tidied clear, whilst trying to tackle a new room each day, and how it gradually becomes more and more difficult. You'll see how many days it actually ends up taking me. Take a guess if you want. There'll be days where me and Charlie have both been at work together or on alternating shifts, days where the baby's kept me awake all night. And yeah, this has been the hardest video to film so far. Not just physically, but mentally. Because it was just a stark reminder of how much unseen work goes into maintaining a home. How time consuming it is, how it really is never ending. It's been a real labour of love and I really hope it resonates with you and that you enjoy it. I know a lot of you have been asking for a longer video, and so here it is. Grab yourself a drink and get comfy and we'll have a good chinwag. A recurring comment I get in a lot of my videos, especially when it's a whole house clean and each room is really messy, is how do you let it get like this? If you just cleaned up 10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, you wouldn't have to struggle like this. And I just think, please. It takes me 10 minutes just to wash the pots and I do that 3 times a day. And this is the thing, people will watch my videos and they'll assume that I haven't cleaned for days or even weeks. When in reality, even when it's at its messiest, I still clean every day. When I say things like I've dropped the ball, I don't mean that I've just stopped bothering altogether. I mean I've just stopped trying to achieve perfection when it's unattainable. And instead of pushing myself into burnout, I've had a rest. I've had a self-care day. I've watched something on Netflix when the baby slept, or I've had a nap too myself. Because I needed it. I've met basic human needs, and we all need to have those met sometimes. And if that means the standards in my house slip a little bit, then so be it. In order for my whole house to be tidy, I have to be working on it constantly. And I mean constantly. And it's just like, at what cost? It's the cost of missing out on quality time with my family. At the cost of my mental health, my hobbies, meeting up with my friends or my mum, bonding time with my partner after the kids have gone to bed. Yes, it's important to maintain a certain standard of cleanliness in your home, but it's also important to have limits and know where to draw the line. Finding the right balance has always been something that I struggle with, and making this video has reminded me of a lot of things and taught me a lot more about myself and about what really matters. And you know what? No one's going to look back on their life and think, I wish I'd have cleaned more. Even the people you think have it all together a lot of the time don't. when you're sat there scrolling through perfectly pristine houses on social media, or you go to your tidy friend's house and you think, why can't I just be more like them? Why is it so hard for me to keep on top of things and not other people? It's so important to remember that we never know the whole story. This has become really apparent to me when talking with friends or connecting with people through TikTok and YouTube who have OCD, for example. By the way, when the video says later that day, it means it's after the school run, after dinner, and I'm redoing the rooms that I've already done, basically. This video will be a bit like Groundhog Day, I'm not going to lie, but this is what the reality is for the majority of us, and I think it's good to show that. But anyway, as I was saying, there's a huge misunderstanding when it comes to OCD. With OCD and compulsive cleaning specifically, Ike decided to smash a glass all over the living room floor. OCD is so much more than just being super tidy. There are so many different forms, but yeah. When it comes to obsessive cleaning and tidying, there's this misconception that they must live for cleaning. Because they do it so much, they must love it, they're great at it. But actually, it can be absolutely debilitating. I talk to people often who say, I wish I could just relax and let go a little bit. I wish my mind would stop the chatter and anxiety whenever something's a little bit out of place. It's affecting my home life and my relationships and the way I interact with my family, because I cannot function properly unless I know everything's sorted. And then on the flip side, people with ADHD, those who suffer with task paralysis, they can be sat in the middle of a mess, screaming internally to just get up and sort it, and they physically can't. By the way, that was just an evening worth of mushrooms hair there. But yeah, they're so overwhelmed they're just frozen and glued to the spot. And even people who don't have any kind of neurodivergence, it can still be incredibly difficult balancing work and relationships and the home, especially in the society we're living in today. And so when people offer unsolicited advice, without walking a day in that person's shoes or living in their mind, they might well be met with hostility, especially because that person will already know what needs to be done. They probably berate themselves over it daily. But simply knowing what needs to be done doesn't always solve the problem. And I just think, as well-meaning as your advice may be, unless someone specifically asks for it, just hold off. There is never going to be a one-size-fits-all piece of advice, because we're all wired so differently and our situations are all so diverse. The best thing you can offer a person is compassion and connection. That's what the world needs more of, now more than ever. And I went off on a bit of a tangent there, as I always do, but back to my original point. Yep, I do clean every day, but what that looks like from day to day is different. I might be on top form one day, picking up as I go along from sunrise to sunset, and the next day I'll feel like a slug, because maybe the baby hasn't slept, or I've been on the night shift and I just feel gross, and I can only manage bits and bobs here and there. And it's on those days the house rapidly spirals out of control. Some days I like to set aside time to get specific things done, like maybe emptying and reorganising a cupboard, or doing some gardening. And what happens? You guessed it, in that time, in just one day, because I haven't been in maintenance mode, the house is absolute chaos. And I'll just be sat there thinking, how does anyone else get these things done? And I know a lot of people will be thinking it's the other family members in the house making mess, but it's not, it's me too. I don't know, maybe that's just a neurodivergent thing. But yeah, the state of the house depends on so many different factors, right down to where I am in my cycle. Us women know just how much hormones can rule the roost, and our motivation and productivity levels. Ask any woman who's going through the menopause or has been through the menopause, the most misunderstood group of women on the planet. But I've spoken to women who were really on the ball and tidy beforehand, and then they experienced that drop in hormones, and they couldn't find the will or motivation if it slapped them in the face. We're still animals at the end of the day. We're walking bags of hormones, and I try to take that into account on the bad days and be gentle with myself. And you should too, whatever stage of life you're in. And there are so many other factors to consider, especially if you've got kids. There have been countless times I've been trying to tidy up, say after dinner, and then one or both of my children will need my attention and I'll have to stop what I'm doing. And then before you know it, hours have passed and it's still not been finished. It is what it is. Sometimes I wish there were a million versions of me, as I'm sure many of you do. But there is only one and never enough hours in the day. Anyway, I will try to stop rambling now and actually explain what's going on in the video. I can't promise anything though, because I do love to go off on a good ramble. And you can probably tell this is something I'm so passionate about. I just want people to feel more understood and to see that this is normal and you're not a failure if you struggle with this kind of thing. Anyway, for the people who've just been listening and not actually watching the screen, we're on day 2 now. And so far I've been in maintenance mode for the rooms I already cleaned yesterday. I cleaned the corner near the microwave because it was getting really cluttered. And I thought I'd make a little dent on our incredibly messy downstairs bathroom. Didn't manage to finish it today though because I was running out of time and I still needed to redo the living room. My main focus for day 2 was sorting my bedroom. My bedroom's not overly messy, but it's always full of laundry that I haven't put away. Because like I said, I usually get distracted by something, someone needs me, or I run out of time before bed, and I'm just knackered. So I made it my mission to get this room done before school pick-up, because I'm sure a lot of you can relate, but after school pick-up, it's just so much more difficult to get things done. You're making dinner, then it's bedtime routine, books, bath time, quality time, and before you know it, it's bedtime. And it might just be me, but in those few hours after school, I don't want to spend it running around cleaning. I want to be focusing on my son who's been sat in a classroom for 6 hours. I want to speak to him about his day and be present. By the way, all those clothes on the floor are clean and they were originally folded and put on the bed, but they got lobbed off the bed. Is what it is. It angers people so much when they see this in my videos. I often get, why wouldn't you just put it away straight away? And I hope this video is able to give kind of an explanation as to why I don't always put it away straight away. But you know what? Not everyone's going to understand, and that's okay. Since starting making these videos, I often feel really defensive when it comes to those kind of comments, and I just want to explain and I just want to get people to understand. And it's coming from a place of knowing just how much I do in a day and just how hard I work, and it's still not being enough. And I'm working on resolving that kind of insecurity within myself and remembering that not every comment needs a reply or an explanation. Some people, no matter how much you try and explain yourself, are never ever going to be able to see the world through your eyes. And the opinions of those people don't matter. These videos are for the people who get it and who maybe haven't seen a house like theirs portrayed on social media before. Or someone who struggles with executive dysfunction or ADHD or any other neurodivergence. We're out here doing our best to try and function in a society that just wasn't set up for us. And you know what? If no one else has said it to you, I'm bloody proud of you. You're doing amazing. Anyway, it was later that day on day 2. Rudy helped me clean up the toys in the living room before he went up for his bath. And I tried to make sure the living room and the kitchen were as perfect as possible before I went to bed. This will have been the 3rd time in one day that I've cleaned this kitchen. And you know what? I left the pots. I had been working absolutely non-stop from the second I opened my eyes to the second I closed them. And we're on to day 3, and you'll probably have noticed that up until now you haven't seen Charlie in any of the clips. And it's because he's been at work on really awkward shifts. But today we're both on the late shift together, so we thought we'd finish this room. I didn't manage to finish it the day before like I hoped I would, but I've tried really hard not to get wound up about time constraints. I kept telling myself, as long as I'm making a dent and I'm doing what I can, that's all that matters. It didn't help that the other side of my mind was saying, yeah, but it's futile. It's just going to get messed up again, probably later tonight while you're cleaning downstairs. Luckily, I had Charlie there that day to help get things done a little bit faster. It honestly makes all the difference having someone there doing it with you, just for moral support. So I obviously need to give a shout out to single parents here. I've been where you are. And looking back now, I don't know how I did it. But you just do, don't you? You muster the strength out of the ether for your kids. But yeah, I really think single parents deserve so much more credit than they're given and so much respect. You have next level grit and determination. And that includes married single parents. You know who you are. I see you. Trying to maintain a home while another fully grown adult is in the house making mess and not helping at all. You basically have an extra child on your hands and you deserve so much more. It's funny because a lot of people watch my videos and they assume that's the kind of situation that I'm in, and it couldn't be further from the truth. But that's all I'll say about that, because I've spoken about it enough on my other videos. I like to give a bit of a backstory and insight to newcomers though who haven't seen any of my videos before. But anyway, we didn't start on any new rooms today, obviously because we both had work later that day. So after we finished the bedroom, we got to work on giving the living room and the kitchen a bit of a touch up. And this is what I meant when I said it's going to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day, because you're going to see us cleaning the same rooms over and over and over again before we even think about starting on another room. Because otherwise, what would be the point? It'd be like exchanging one messy room for another and the video would never end. But this is also why it became more and more of a challenge as the days went by and we got more rooms done, because it was more rooms to maintain every day. And I've said it before, with me it's usually either upstairs is really clean or downstairs is really clean, but never both at the same time. It's just not a doable thing for me, but I was giving it my best go this time. But yeah, making this video has really reaffirmed to me that I am doing as much as I can. I've always been a messy person, chaos seems to just follow me everywhere, but since becoming a mum, I've found it so difficult to just keep on top of things. And for a long time I did think, is there something I'm missing? How come these things come so easily to everybody else? And a lot of the time I did think, maybe I'm just not working hard enough. Even though I was pushing myself to the point of exhaustion, there was still that niggling voice in the back of my head that said, you're just lazy and unorganised. Obviously, with hindsight, I know neither of those things are true now. The me being lazy part and the part where everybody else finds it easy. They don't. Everybody struggles in their own way. But if you ever feel like that about yourself, I want to encourage you to look at all of the things that you do in a day. Really take a step back and look at all of the things. Yeah, you might not do it in the most efficient way, or the way that other people do it or think that you should do it, but you're still doing it. You're getting things done in your way. And you shouldn't be beating yourself up about that. You should be giving yourself a pat on the back. So what if someone comes into your house and thinks, this is a right mess? You know how hard you've been working, and that's all that matters. Sometimes that working hard might not be in the context of cleaning a house. It might be the fact that you've been having a really hard time mentally and you pushed yourself to get up and have a shower. That's an achievement. Maybe you have something like fibromyalgia and you've been fighting through a pain flare and you finally got up and sorted through a cupboard you've been waiting for months to sort through. It might not look much to an outsider, but honestly, who cares what they think? Who cares? We need to stop placing our value as people in the hands of others. The only person we should be working to make proud is ourselves. And you know what? When you have a healthy sense of self-worth, it positively impacts everyone else around you too. So it's a win-win. Anyway, if you haven't been looking at the screen, we're on day 4 now. I was on a late shift the day before, and here I've just got back from a day shift. And I was cleaning the kitchen yet again after just cooking a roast. Charlie had the day off, so he was able to keep things relatively tidy while I was at work. But with kids and a dog, there's only so much you can do, isn't there? Everybody pitched in and did their bit to help clear up before bed. And yeah, day 4 was pretty simple. It was another day of just maintaining the rooms we'd already done for obvious reasons. Same as day 3. We were both just exhausted from work. Here's my little helper wiping down the table for me, bless him. Rudy absolutely loves getting involved in the cleaning. The only thing he can't stand is picking up the toys. Even Ike wanted to clean a table, look. But yeah, to be fair to Rudy, he's not the one that throws everything all over the floor, so why should he have to be the one to always pick them up? If he wants to wipe down the tables instead, that's good enough for me. He's doing his bit and getting involved. I very often get comments from people saying, your family need to learn respect. You need to teach your children to tidy up after themselves. When in reality, this is what our day-to-day looks like. We all muddle in together. I don't ever want my children to feel like I did when I was a child, when it came to cleaning. That it was such an overwhelming and impossible task. And so I always try to make sure I'm cleaning alongside them. This is how messy the floor's gotten in just one day, by the way. But yeah, I think the reason people assume that is because when I'm doing the really big messy house cleans usually, Charlie's taking the boys out, like I said. And yeah, people just make assumptions, don't they? Unless they've got visible proof that the kids clean, they just automatically assume that I have not taught anybody in the house how to tidy up after themselves. Not the case. And you'll see later on in the video just how fast some of the rooms can turn to absolute chaos. Honestly, it looks like we haven't done anything for a week, and you've seen that we have. But I say this all the time in my videos and in my shorts, our house is a home. It's meant to be lived in. A lot of the time, a messy house is a sign of happy children. And when I say messy, I of course don't mean dirty or dangerous. They're two completely different things. I know a lot of parents work on the principle that you put one toy away after you've finished playing with it, and if that works for you, that's absolutely great. If a massive mess on the floor all at once is triggering to you, obviously you've got to put systems in place that prevent that from happening. You've got to have it so that you can be the best version of yourself and in turn the best parent that you can possibly be. But for me, I just let them get everything out, and after they've finished playing, that's when we put everything away. And I do this because when I was a kid, I was so immersed in my creative, imaginative flow that if someone had have come up to me in the middle of what I was playing and said, right, you need to put that toy away now, it would have completely ruined whatever game I was playing. Ultimately, every kid is different and every parent is different. And my children are a lot like me. And I take that into consideration when making any parenting choice. So we were on to day 5, and day 5 was all about sorting the boys' room out. And as you can see, it's an absolute nightmare. But not a single speck of this mess was made by my 7-year-old. It was all the handiwork of my 1-year-old. His idea of playing in this bedroom is getting everything out and tipping it all over the floor. And it's blooming annoying, but who am I to tell him what's fun and what's not fun? He wouldn't take a blind bit of notice even if I did try and tell him. So I tried to time this clean with his nap, because doing it while he's around is absolutely pointless, as you'll see later on in the video. As messy as it is, this room's actually really simple to clean because everything has its own little tub. That tub on top of the table with the clothes overflowing is there because we've genuinely ran out of storage space now. And I know every long video I do, I promise a declutter video is coming up, but it is genuinely coming up soon. I feel a little 3-part series brewing, so let me know if this is something you'd be interested in. The first part's going to be me decluttering the clothes and toys all over the house. We've got way too many clothes and obviously, as you can see, way too many toys. So I want to see how many bags full we can get of things to donate. Then the second part, I want to go through all of the kitchen cabinets and drawers and just get rid of so much stuff and reorganise it. And then the third part's going to be me decluttering and reorganising the big airing cupboard in my bedroom because it's an absolute disaster and it needs a whole video to itself. It's ridiculous. So yeah, what do you think? A 3-part decluttering series? Definitely on the cards. And then our garden makeover videos still in the works. So that should be coming up in the next few months. And then when all of that's over and done with, I'm going to start a decorating series. Because I've been wanting to redecorate the kitchen and living room for over a year now. And I've just kept on putting it off, saying, when you've decluttered, when everything's a bit more organised, then you can start. And obviously it never happens. But yeah, I've got some exciting videos in the pipeline. Exciting or boring, depending on what kind of person you are. I personally love a decluttering video because I really struggle with knowing where to start and they really help me. And I know a lot of you are the same as me. But anyway, we're on to re-cleaning downstairs again. Ike was still asleep, so that was helpful. But it was day 5 now and it was getting to the point where I was thinking I have been at this non-stop and having no me time for 5 days straight, and all I wanted to do was just sit on the settee and just chill. But I knew if I did that, there'd be no way I'd be able to keep on top of everything and all of my hard work over the past 5 days would have been undone. I had to be so strict with myself to see if I could actually do this. And honestly, like I said earlier in the video, in order for this to actually be attainable, I had to be cleaning non-stop. Genuinely, I am so perplexed with how people manage to keep things like looking nice and tidy with minimal effort. It takes me so much work. And I know all of the tricks, I know pick up as you go along, which is what I am doing now, or my version of it. Don't put it down, put it away is another one I always get, or never leave a room empty-handed. But you see, I've been implementing all of these tricks throughout the video, and it is still taking all of my effort and all of my time. And it was at this point I was genuinely thinking, where is the time for anything else? And a slightly messy lived-in home was looking more and more appealing to me, I'm not gonna lie. By the way, if you're one of those people that keeps on top of things really easily, no disrespect to you whatsoever. I am massively impressed with your level of organisation skills and time management skills. It's just not a thing that's ever going to come naturally to me. Maintaining a home to the standard that I'd like it would require an amount of effort that was just not sustainable or healthy in any way. And making this video just reaffirmed that to me 1,000 times over. Anyway, Charlie had gotten home half an hour before the school run, so he looked after Ike while I did the mowing. It was really overdue. And I have been working so hard at regrowing our lawn, so I didn't want to neglect it while filming this video. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, or you're not up to date on my lawn drama, we had something called leather jacket grubs and they absolutely annihilated the lawn. There was not one single shred of grass left. So we've really been working hard on getting the lawn back for summer. And I'm excited to show you the whole garden transformation when it's finally done. It's been postponed a little bit though because it will not stop raining in England at the minute. We had one mini heat wave at the start of June and then that was it, just rain. Anyway, after the school run we decided it would be nice to make pizzas together. I felt like I'd been putting so much of my energy into making this video, we hadn't had much time together. So it was a nice little way to reconnect and bond as a family. Rudy absolutely hated his because it didn't taste like real pizzas, so swings and roundabouts. He enjoyed making it though, so that was the main thing. And then it was time to tidy up the masses of cheese that was thrown everywhere like confetti. It's crazy how much mess can be made in a few seconds when you've got kids. It's chaotic, but I always say I'm going to miss the mess and the chaos when they've moved out. And I really try to hold on to that thought when I'm feeling overwhelmed by it all. Ultimately, all I want is for my kids to have a happy life and happy memories of their childhood. They're not going to remember what the house looked like from day to day, but they're going to remember what it felt like. The energy of the home. And I hope when they look back, all they remember is love. And all of the cosy and funny memories we shared together. But anyway, we were now on to day 6 of this little challenge I'd set for myself. And pick up as you go along was not looking like the answer for me, guys. I know people say it all the time in my videos. Just keep on top of things throughout the day and you won't have to deal with an overwhelming house or a big mess ever again. But do you know what? After this experience, I would much rather clean up 1 or 2 big messes a day than be in cleaning mode constantly. And I'd much rather have some rooms in the house, like my bedroom, that are a little bit messy so that the rest of the house can be tidy. Because this way is just so taxing to me and my mental health. And those big messes are nowhere near as overwhelming to me than knowing that I have to constantly be picking up in order for it not to get messy. Like I said earlier in the video, what works for one person isn't going to work for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. And I'm starting to realise that as much as I hated the fact that there were always big messes to clear at the start or at the end of the day, and I'd always think, why am I like this? Why can't I just be like other people? It's become so clear to me whilst making this video that I genuinely had a system that was working for me and my personality type. And honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I was still getting things done every day, loads, just in a different way. I personally find bigger messes so much more motivating. I can get it done really quickly because I'm practiced and efficient at it, at cleaning up big messes in one go. And once it's done, I've done my job until the next time. And I have to reiterate here, that's not to say I leave things to pile up for days on end. I still clean up and tidy probably twice a day, but I do it in big chunks rather than constantly. By the way, here's the room that I just tidied yesterday. Handiwork of Ike yet again, but Rudy came and helped me, bless him, because once we'd finished this, I was going to help him draw something. He wanted to have some space to draw where Ike wasn't going to grab the paper off him and the pens constantly. And every now and then I like to try and carve out space for one-on-one time with each of my children. I think that's so important. But anyway, as you've just seen here, my house gets super messy ridiculously fast. And my way of doing things has been working for me the whole time. Honestly, I really meant it at the start of this video when I said I learned a lot about myself. Here's Rudy organising his Marvel train collection. I actually hand-painted these for him one Christmas for a Christmas present. They were his 2 favourite things at the time, trains and Marvel, but he didn't actually like them like I expected him to. But now, a few years down the line, Ike absolutely adores them. But yeah, back to what I was saying about how we as individuals choose to tidy up our spaces. It all got me thinking, why do I actually want to be a pick up as I go along person? Who was it actually for? Was it because it genuinely is the better way of doing things? Well, that was debatable to me at this point. Was it because it was going to make my life easier? Turns out no, it was actually doing the opposite. Or was it because that's what other people had told me was the right thing to do, the right way to do things? Being honest with myself, I think it was the latter. With my videos being the way they are, I get about 10 pick up as you go along comments a day. And you know what? I'm only human and sometimes it gets to me. So I wanted to test it out for myself. I've done it before, but it's never worked for me, but this time I genuinely wanted to give it a good go. But by day 6 I was thinking, seriously, who are you trying to impress, Remy? People that don't actually live in your home and have to deal with you from day to day, because let me tell you something. Whenever I've tried it this way in the past, every time I've become someone I didn't recognise. Someone irritable and tense, and honestly, someone not very pleasant to be around at all. Because all I was focused on was the messes that were being created around me and what I'd have to pick up in a second, rather than being present and just focusing on my beautiful family that were just living life in their home. The place that's supposed to be their safe place. They don't deserve a grouchy mum, and I don't deserve to feel like that. What, for the sake of saying I'm always on top of my house? Nah. But anyway, for the purposes of this experiment and this video, I soldiered on to day 7. I was on the late shift that evening and I was in a terrible mood, and so was Ike. We had just both had enough of this. But I was so close to reaching my goal of the whole house being clean at the same time. All I really needed to do was finish cleaning the bathrooms and then just maintain the rest of the house and give them little top-ups. So I thought, yeah, I can do this. All I need to do is wait till Ike's gone to sleep and then I can actually bleach the floors of the bathroom. Because I don't like doing that when he's pottering around for obvious reasons. So I thought I'd start in the bedroom, work my way across to the boys' room, then go downstairs and do the living room and the kitchen, and then by that time I could probably be ready for a nap. That was my plan. But as a lot of you know, life with kids doesn't always go to plan. Just wanted to point out the constantly overflowing, never-ending wash basket there, for the people who love to say if I just did one wash a day, I'd get to the bottom of the pile. You have now seen that I in fact do one wash a day. This is what happens when I try to clean a room with Ike in it, by the way. After Rudy had finished his drawing last night, Ike saw that the drawing pens were out and he had to do some drawing. And this mess is the result of that, and I just left it overnight because I was knackered after bath time and all of that stuff. I know things would probably be a lot easier if I just tidied up after the kids had gone to bed, but Ike wakes me up so many times in the night still. I'd just be a zombie the next day. Just thought I'd showcase another example of what it's like trying to clean with toddlers in the house here. If you've got a daredevil child, you really aren't the only one. You've got to have eyes in the back of your head. The pens Rudy was using the night before managed to leak through the paper onto the table, so I tried to get that cleaned as quickly as possible whilst Ike was distracted. And then I thought I might as well do their little kitchen as well. This room took me way longer than I expected it to take, even though I'd cleaned it the day before and the day before that. And this is what I mean, it's just relentless, isn't it? Doing something day in, day out, and knowing that you've got to do it all over again tomorrow. It's enough to make even the most grounded people feel like they're going round the twist. And honestly, it's because we weren't meant to live like this. We're primates, we're meant to live in communities, where everybody has their allocated jobs and everybody helps each other out. Not in this solitary, individualistic way, where 1 or 2 people shoulder everything by themselves. Household chores, cooking, childcare, and then add to that full-time jobs and commutes. Where's the time for connection and bonding and actually enjoying the life you live in? I don't know, I think it's really sad when you sit and think about it. But then again, I do know us humans are so resilient and adaptive, and you can find joy in even the most mundane tasks. Anyway, as you can see here, Ike was becoming so clingy, because he was just over it at this point. He wanted his mum back, he wanted me to be present. And I, of course, was feeling ridiculously guilty, especially as I had to go to work in the evening. So I just wanted to get everything done as quickly as possible so that I could spend a little bit of time with him before I had to go. And I know I am still here with him physically, chatting to him and trying to make him laugh, but it's just not the same as giving him my full attention. I know kids need to get used to not having our undivided attention 24/7, but this was just getting beyond a joke. Pretty much all I'd done for 7 days straight when I wasn't at work or doing bedtime routine was cleaning. I missed Charlie and the kids and I was living in the same house as them. But I kept telling myself, I've nearly done it, I'm so close to finishing it. I just need to make it to nap time and then I can mop all of the floors. Ike normally naps for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, so I thought that's the perfect amount of time, I can get it done. I didn't do a full mop in the living room because I just thought I'll just mop where we actually walk. Then I did the kitchen. Then I cleared the stairs for the millionth time. and the bathroom floor yet again. And then I got to work on actually giving it a good clean and scrub. Up until this point, I'd only done little bits and bobs in the bathrooms when I was passing. I find cleaning the bathrooms the most difficult job in the house because I don't like to do it when Ike's awake. I don't like him being near the chemicals or putting his hands in places, you know what I mean. So I rely solely on nap times or Charlie being around to do the bathrooms. I do actually really love to clean the bathrooms as well. I find it really therapeutic. But unfortunately, Ike only slept for 20 minutes this day, of course. So I only managed to get the downstairs bathroom done this time. And after that, I gave up, guys. I gave up. 7 days in and it just wasn't happening. I'll give you a little house tour and show you what it ended up looking like in a second. It didn't look too bad at all, but you know what? I will never be one of those people that has a perfect home. And I'm not ashamed of that. Me and my family are happy, and that's all that matters. And if you've got someone going on at you about the way your home looks, maybe it's your mum or your mother-in-law, or a judgmental friend, or even just that niggling voice at the back of your head saying, I'm not good enough. Remember when I asked you to look at all of the things you do in the day? I now encourage you to look at all of the things you are rather than what you're not or what you lack. I'll go first. I'm Remy, and I'm a great writer and storyteller. I'm a ridiculously loyal friend. I've had the same friendship group since I was a child. I'm a fiercely protective mum. And I'll slice my son's grapes until they move out. I can tell you the Latin names of every subspecies of giant African land snail. But the thing I love most about me is I'll always try to leave people happier than I found them. Today's world can seem like such a lonely place, with pandemics and cost of living crisis and governments that don't seem to care about their people. It all can seem pretty dull and hopeless, and so I make a conscious effort to uplift people and make people laugh whenever I can. When I think about me in those terms, the fact that I have a messy house seems pretty insignificant. Honestly, it doesn't matter. As long as you're trying and you're doing your best. Who cares what judgmental people think? Just feel sorry for them. Because a lot of the time, hurt people hurt people. Making this video has taught me that, yeah, I can have a really clean house, but it means sacrificing the thing that's most valuable to me in this world. Quality time with my family. That's time I can never get back. There will come a time when the kids have moved out, or maybe when they're just a bit older, that a goal like this will seem so easy. But for now, I'll embrace the chaos and I'll tidy in my own way. And I'll tell you what, that means I'll never run out of cleaning content for you. Anyway, that's it for today. If you stuck with me this far, I appreciate you more than you know. Have an amazing rest of your day.